go. What's up, everybody? What's up, virgins? What's up, virgins? All right. I guess we have to start with Verge because of that. All right. So just looking at Verge, just some statistics again. Looking at this number, just with the possibility that that can go much higher. Um, so that's pretty low for crypto. It's number 300, but it's been around for 11 years, so it's hanging in there, kind of in a way. And I was kind of just talking about this the other day. Is like it's hanging in there rather than just continuously making new lows, right? Some of those other coins from a while ago, or 2000, the 2017 run, they just kind of led further and further down. But this, I mean, we're even above. I mean, the low. I guess this is kind of like this low did take out that low, but the 20 we've been going sideways to slightly up since 2023. So for about over 2 years, we've kind of been creating this base down here. It also, so this is an 8-year pattern going back to December of 2017. So bigger the base, higher in space. It could make up for the 2021 bull run. It's like it has 2 bull runs in it. When it breaks this line, when we get a monthly close above 1 cent, that's the kickoff. That's the kickoff. A lot of the moving average indicators are looking healthy, looking like they can rise up. Basing, breaking this, going up. It's stochastic. I can put some more on here. Let's look at some more. Copper curve, which I love. This one's I guess I should have had this ready, huh? But this is kind of, I want to see something more like this, but across the 0 line. So the 0 line is down here, so we're above it, but let's see if we can scoop this up. This needs to scoop up, which it will if we go higher, once we start to go higher. So close of the month is on Sunday. So maybe it'll be next month, but it would be great if somehow at the end of the week we do close above 1 cent. This will be a little bit higher, and then next month, and then we could activate all systems go, rather than seeing what happens in December. Because in December we could have something breaking the 1 cent, and it could go much higher, and it could just be a little bit tougher to enter. You'd have to enter on the break rather than the close, which is fine too, but just something to look at. But yeah, but even staying above the 0 is good. So there's that. Let's look at the MACD and so here's the MACD. Again, these are all just moving averages, so they'll really just say the same thing. But the good thing is, again, crossing over the 0 for the second time this year, essentially. That is a good sign. It also just implies that there's a lot of upside. Like the move has not taken place. Nobody's missed out. That's also what's kind of important with some of these indicators are showing. Like this is kind of the time. Again, I want to see a monthly close above 1 cent. That kicks it off. Sure, you want to anticipate, buy some. Yes, do it. Go. It's a little bit more risky in a sense because we don't have confirmation, but could you increase the returns a little bit? Sure. Let's look at the RSI. And here's the RSI. So again, I think we want to be, above 60 is when you when you get those big moves. But again, it's looking nice. We got Scoopy, 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 Scoop. Probably have some sort of. That's crazy. So we got. See if we have anything here. I mean, it's kind of tough. Well, you know, you kind of have that broken, never went below it. You have some stuff here, but anyway, it's looking good on the monthly. It's looking primed. Let's just say primed. Let's see if there's any other things I want to see here. We did the EXA turning up, nice with room to go. So I like it that it has a lot of room to go as well with these indicators. I think the lucid. Let's look at the SARS. Lucid SARS. This is yet to break. Okay, that's pretty. That's up there at almost 2 cents, which is fine. That's interesting. Let's hide that. I don't even have this. Oh, because I know. Actually, I will show one other. I'll show it on the lower time frame, the volume on Binance. But here's so again, if we take this pattern and we, do something like measure it at about 23-cent move, that takes us to 24 cents. If the entry to this trade is at 1 cent, we could be at 24 cents. So that's a 24x. We'll see. And again, with the market cap only being 100 million, that's not out of the question. A 10x is what, 1 billion? So what, like 2.5 billion is a 24x? Not out of the question at all. Given the chart, given the market cap, given the price. I know people people sometimes just like to buy really cheap assets when they can buy, thousands or millions of them. And it doesn't necessarily matter, but sometimes it's, let's see when the FOMO sets in. Again, not available on Coinbase. So meaning there's not a lot of sellers, not a lot of people, not a lot of bag holders yet. So it's a little bit illiquid in a sense. A little bit of buying is just going to push this thing up. That's what I'm seeing here on the monthly, and also TD sequential. We'll get a green 2 above a green 1, which is my favorite. Green 2 above green 1. All right, here is the weekly. Weekly, again, we're working on an inside candle from last week. We have a green 1 from early November. So again, we're looking for a close above 9.5 cents, and really these dominoes will start falling again. Then 1 cent will play out. So I'm seeing something like this. Also, we haven't even had a weekly close above 7.00785. Technically since January of 2025, so almost a year. So that would be another entry point. Oh, you see it, closing above, 8 cents. But really, we want it above 9. So there's some entry points here, I think, that are, possibly building up a position, pyramiding higher. Weekly. Let's look at some indicators here. See the EXA. Okay, that's actually kind of exhausted, but that's okay. I think this one actually looks. Yeah, I actually really like this. If we break this line, we kind of have we have like a huge head and shoulders. Kind of irregular, has 2 shoulders, it looks like, on each side. If we're breaking this higher, it's just going to explode, I think. So let's see if we can break this level. Let's look at the MACD. So here, I believe we have broken We just broke the Lucid Stars last week. That's right. So there was another little kickoff here. That's a good sign. Broke the Lucid Star. Now it's below us. That's nice. Let's see, the moving averages are all below us. We got a lot of support below us, which is nice. So versus, it's obviously much better than them being on top of us, like this stuff. It was never able to go because it hit these moving averages. So we are looking pretty good there. Let's take that off. Let's look at RSI here. Again, nice. The 60 is pretty big. It kind of signifies some bull activity. 40 is kind of like you want to hold the 40, and below the 40 is trouble. Above the 60 is usually pretty bullish, especially when it's just breaking above it. So let's see if when we break this level, which would essentially happen if we just get one close above that 0.09 point or one penny level. That's what we're going to be looking for there. MACD, again, it's going to be similar. These are all just moving averages calculations. So, but yeah, I mean, look at this. We're above earlier this year. I'm liking that. More room to run higher. Let's see. On the weekly, I think that's good for the weekly. And I mean, if you even go back, I mean, yeah, so we really want to break these areas. They go back pretty far. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Let's see what happens. All right, here is the daily. And we'll stay here for a second. I want to show the volume. But here's a little triangle we kind of got going on here. Could we come back down and retest this and then go up? Absolutely. Especially maybe this 200, maybe early December would make sense. It could be a 200 plus a trend line breaking out in December. Who knows? It could also just go anytime. Really, it's not. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to wait till then. And then here, I just wanted to. Well, let's look at the TD sequential. So again, we have a green one with it. So I mean, I think here decent entry as well. Yeah, that kind of a close above this would be pretty nice. Above ninth of a cent or something. 9. But let's go to because we're on the crypto, they don't have volume, but let's look at the Binance chart and just looking at the volume, we are seeing a pickup in volume. We'll need if this thing breaks higher and we really know it, we'll get a huge, as it is still, increased ever since October till now versus all of last year. We weren't getting anything. Now we're getting, so we really haven't seen this much volume since December 2024. So a year ago. Kind of marking the top. So I like the volume pickup here. I think if we do break above, one, we'll get a big volume spike and some fall through. It could be bigger than these ones too. So that's what we're looking for. And I think this is a good sign that the volume is picking up. So that's just what I want to show you about the volume there. And again, we are above all the moving averages. So it's a good to have the support down here, and they're slightly upsloping. So that is a good sign. All right, and lastly, we'll just check out the order book. Order book's been pretty good, more bullish than bearish, definitely. So, I think it's kind of a wait and see. It could take a while. It could happen imminently, but we really want to see above a penny. I think that's the kicker. That's what we want. Let me see. Let's see if we have anything else. We can go down to the 4 hour. 4 hour, not too interesting. Again, just nothing much. I don't see any concern here. The concern is breaking this trend. Yeah. I mean, not. Again, we haven't validated the pattern yet, but this, we can touch this, but let's try to stay above 0.06006, definitely 0.005. Otherwise, it'll take longer for us to kind of get back to these levels for breaking out. You kind of want to be banging up against the resistance and break out instead of having to go up a big just to break it. You kind of run out of steam. So definitely keeping an eye on Verge. It's kind of it's pretty cool. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I don't want to say it's my favorite. Come true or something. All right, virgins. Let's move on to Zoomers. All right, we got a stock here. Okay, here we go. A very clear horizontal resistance, which I somewhat prefer in a way. It's very clear. This is since 2022. Okay, so 3.5 years. Yesterday had a good earnings, it sounds like, and then it kind of gave up a lot of gains, but still had a good day. So let's look for a weekly close above this $89 level for Zoom. Here, let's put on this, see what this is. The RSI on. It's kind of choppy. I don't love it. MACD. Also a little choppy, but it's turning up. It's positive, so there that is. Go on some moving averages. We crossed. I don't love that that's so steep. That 200-week moving average is so steep. To me, it kind of indicates we need more to kind of scoop it up, but we could get the move. It's obviously a safer asset, but we could get a move something like, I'm looking for a $30 move, so up to about 110, which really is not, which, that's what I think. I don't think we're gonna, who knows, but I don't necessarily anticipate us just going up to the 300s again. Possibly we go, see if I can, we go up into that 110 range, and we go, we create some sort of pattern, kind of like this over here, before breaking higher. So we go like this, that, before, going higher. We'll see, and that would take us, quite a while to do something like that. If it has some symmetry to it. This was 24. This was like half a year. So could we break out imminently to 110? Absolutely. And then kind of create some sort of consolidation above the lows, and then go higher into 2027 or something. I don't know. Something like that is what I'd be looking for Zoom. Let's get rid of those But the 110 target's still a nice little game. Stock. I don't consider yesterday's as confirmation of the breakout. I definitely don't. I need a daily close above 89, and then even or breaking above $91 above this yesterday's candle would I would that would be my entry points for this one. But as you can kind of see, it's pretty clear. You got like a cup and handle, head and shoulders. You even have a little triangle over here. This is a little ascending triangle over here. So all bullish indications, but we do need some confirmation there. All right, there's Zoom. I think that's all. Let's look at the volume actually. Okay, we got a volume spike yesterday, of course, which makes sense on the earnings days. It does. So again, we haven't had, and if you see, these volume spikes are actually all on earnings. So I don't see the confirmation yet here, but very juicy, very juicy. All right, let's go into Rivian, another stock. Kind of similar basing pattern, a little shorter, but it's a more volatile stock, so you could get more gains. But it kind of broke out. I liked, especially a couple of weeks ago, it was really looking nice in the middle of this week. I thought that was pretty good to break those highs. It pulled back. It did pull back into the trend line, which is nice. And then it's gone higher. So been a little difficult to trade. I was pretty convinced that was it here. Yeah. I was convinced we were good November 10th, and then we kind of dumped. So, but now we're kind of coming back up to it. We closed this gap. We could go higher. So I think it's still, we did have a green 2 above a green 2 yesterday. So I think Rivian's a good play in the stock market. Okay, let's get a close over Wednesday. Stock market's closed tomorrow. We could easily get a close above essentially $16, which would also give us some more validation for this pattern. So Rivian is looking nice. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's just looking nice. These hard to say. Yeah. More moving averages. Daily moving averages are definitely in our favor. So I guess, and let's just look at the move. Go back to the weekly. So what kind of move can we expect? Possibly something like, and you can kind of alter these triangles. It's kind of hard to say wherever, it could be from here to there, but my target, I guess, would be about a $18 move. Again, hard to kind of say where the breakout was, but $33. I don't know. Yeah, I say about $34. That would make sense. That would take us up to this area. So I think Rivian and the Knicks, going into next year can get back up into this mid 30 level. So that's a double. Obviously a more risky stock than Zoom, but a little bit more reward. So I like this. I like Rivian. And lastly, let's just check out Monero. Monero is looking really nice in many sideways. I mean, we are at this top, but it's hit. This is the fourth time. I think it will break eventually. So I'm liking this. That could, a double, triple, relatively quickly. Especially if maybe some of the money comes out of Zcash into Monero, the privacy sector continues to kind of be hot. That could be all right. Last week, at least the wicks are on the bottom, so that's is what it is. And daily is looking pretty nice. Good recovery. Let's see if we can close above 408, 407. Give us a TD sequential kickoff there. So Monero's looking pretty interesting there. I think that's really all I wanted to say today. Those are kind of my favorite, imminent, looking good imminently. And then again, this is just a Monero versus Bitcoin has been a beast. So there we go. All right, everybody. Let's go.